I think that did really good. I think that figured me out pretty well. And I didn't have to listen to it. I didn't have to listen through its thinking process. I guess that's how you would verify. But a rough estimate is good enough in these cases. I mean, I just know now this is about 20%, 8 cms from the top. I don't have a tape measure here on me, but that's probably about right. Anyways, so I can just roughly. Now I think that should mean that is enough water to do that. But I can't be sure, so I think I want to save some of this water for now. Maybe I want to even save this water, because this water, so I'm not sure what I'm talking about here. Alright, so I've got a kind of weird testing of water changing method here. I want to make both of these tanks on a similar chemistry, like have them to be kind of one kind of water quality, or even more than just water quality, but the actual, like, I want them to be like as if they were plumbed into the same sump. But since I'm not able to do that right now, I have these other crazy ideas. Like I have a pump pumping water out of this back area into the sink, and I could use the canister filter to pump water from here into the 12-gallon, so that each time I do a water change, I'm essentially shifting water from here to here. So it's like getting a replenishment, so to speak, and it's keeping a stability, so to speak. But then, of course, that means this one is not getting that much fresh water, which kind of is like, you kind of want fresh water too. The other idea was to first change the water in here, give that the clear fresh water, and then, or like when I say fresh water, I mean salt water. I just mean fresh salt water. You know what I mean. I know this seems pretty crazy, but that's part of the fun, is making it as crazy as possible. But also redundancy, right? That was the original purpose of the canister filter, was like, okay, when I go away, I don't want all of this to have, like, all of this needs to operate. Oh man, I take the filter off. In order for all of this, I want all of this to operate. This. Oh, the ATO's not good. The ATO on the side. Camera ready. And I got the Stocer. Neptune, Chato, reactor, Neptune waste, battery backup, jumble of wires, UV, dosing containers, controllers, sump, Kalkwasser, media reactor, microalgae reactor, second pump forming a loop through the floss filter there, and into the skimmer and the return into the tank, and then back down through this over the top overflow, over the top in many ways. But today was this little piece of ingenuity here. Salvaged from old pieces. You wouldn't think it, but this connection of just kind of dry fitting it in is watertight. And you learn that in the freshwater aquarium world, when your lily pipes just connect to your hoses like this. And yeah, super easy. And because of this, at first I was like, oh no, I can't And the solution was the sideways. And look at that, clips in nice. And just gonna shoot that water that way. Not bad, pretty fine. Could be the other way too, doesn't matter. But yeah, so I gotta figure out exactly what to do with this. Here, let's ask Chat GPT again. Alright, very episode 2. Here we go. Asking Chat. Hey, so you know how I've been wanting to connect my 12 gallon to the 30 gallon in some kind of way where they share the same water chemistry? Remember that? We talked about that?
Oh, absolutely. I remember that. You were exploring different ways to connect the two tanks so that they could share the same water parameters. We talked about options like using an overflow box or maybe a siphon. How's that project coming along?
Well, now I've connected a canister filter that has inputs and outputs that swing from one tank to the other tank. And I have been like occasionally switching them over. And so in many ways the water is mixing. Yeah, and I was thinking of maybe doing it in a more regular and calculated way, and also incorporating that with the fresh salt water that I want to introduce every week, about 20% of the 30 gallon tank. So what do you think of that? What do you think of that idea?
I think that's a pretty clever approach. It definitely helps to keep the water chemistry consistent between the two tanks. If you do it on a regular schedule, it can help ensure everything stays stable, and your corals and fish will definitely appreciate that consistency. Just make sure to keep an eye on the parameters as you get into the routine, and you can adjust if needed, but it sounds like a solid plan.
What exactly would be the protocol, do you think? Do I put fresh water into the 30 gallon first and then run that through the canister filter for a little while, then switch those arms into the other tank and then let that run for a little while? Do I put water into replace the fresh water in the 12 gallon fully, almost, right? I could do like a full thing there, and then put all new salt water in there, run the canister filter, and then run the canister filter over here. Wait, but then I didn't really change the water in the 30 gallon. Hold on. Okay, which one of those two so far do you think is better?
I think the first approach you mentioned might be the most straightforward and effective. So you could start by adding the fresh salt water into your 30 gallon tank first, and then let the canister filter run so that it can circulate that fresh water and mix it thoroughly in the 30 gallon tank. Then after it's had some time to mix, you can switch the filter over to the 12 gallon tank and let it circulate there. That way you ensure that the new salt water is well distributed between both tanks. It's kind of a nice balanced approach, and make sure that both tanks get that fresh, consistent water chemistry.
Nice, I'm gonna try it.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear how it goes. I think it'll really help keep everything stable and balanced between the two tanks. Definitely let me know how it works out.
Peace. There, that's an episode right there. That's an episode. How many episodes is that, you know?